Is the American dream slipping away, or is it just being overshadowed by higher prices at the pump and the grocery store? A new poll drops a bombshell on President Trump's economic narrative, suggesting his core message isn't breaking through to the voters who need to hear it most. Before we dive into the details, if you want to stay on top of everything happening in U.S. politics, hit that subscribe button right now and leave a like. It really helps this channel grow and keeps you informed. 6 months ago, we saw deep concern among voters about the economy. Now, new results from the Politico poll show that President Trump hasn't managed to significantly improve their perception of the high cost of living, nor has he successfully shifted the blame. In November, nearly half of Americans said the cost of living was the worst they could remember. As of May, a staggering 53% still say the exact same thing. That persistence is a serious problem for any administration. Even more telling, back in November, 46% of Americans believed Trump held full or most of the responsibility for the state of the economy. Fast forward to May, and that number is virtually unchanged. But here's where it gets really interesting. A plurality of Americans now say their finances have only worsened since Trump took office. And in a truly concerning sign for his campaign, that includes 18% of the president's own 2024 voters, according to the May survey. This data underscores how Trump has struggled to find a winning message on affordability, even when many economic indicators suggest the economy is actually healthy. His tendency to go off script, despite his allies' best efforts, has further muddied the waters for Republican efforts to control the narrative. Adding another layer of complexity is the unpopular Iran war, which has Republicans barreling towards November with voters' financial fears remaining a stubborn, lingering political liability. A majority of Americans say Trump hasn't done enough to protect them from the economic fallout of this war. We're talking about price spikes in gas, food, and flights. More than 60% of Americans, including majorities of both Trump voters and those who backed Kamala Harris in 2024, say the war has made things more expensive for them overall. As Kevin Madden, a longtime GOP communications strategist, pointed out, a major challenge for Joe Biden was that, as prices rose and worries about inflation took hold, the response from the Biden administration was that inflation was transitory. Trump faces a similar predicament. He added, as prices rise due to tariff and trade policies and global conflict, the response that it's a hoax or not true is just a very discordant message given that so many voters are feeling a budget pinch right now. The Iran war is increasingly overshadowing the Trump administration's domestic economic messaging. Officials are often peppered with questions about oil and gas prices, and anxious Republicans in battleground states are growing worried that this extended conflict could seriously hurt their chances in key Senate and House races this November. The survey confirms that Republican attempts to place the economic blame squarely on Biden aren't resonating. Just 28% of Americans say the former president holds full or most of the responsibility for the current U.S. economy, compared to nearly half who lay much of the blame at Trump's feet. The sooner the war winds down, the better for Trump when it comes to prospects in the midterms because the price of gas is so intricate in the notion of affordability, said one Florida-based Republican strategist who asked to remain anonymous. White House spokesperson Kush Desai offered a different perspective, stating the president has been clear about short-term disruptions and is focused on implementing his economic agenda. He added, as traffic in the Strait of Hormuz normalizes again, Americans will again see gas prices plummet, real wages grow, inflation cool, and trillions in investments continue pouring in. Now, even Trump voters are divided. They are far more likely than Harris voters to say the president has taken sufficient action to curb costs from the Iran conflict, but even his own supporters are split. 43% say he has done enough, while another 43% say he has not. This mirrors broader divides within the GOP over the war itself, with figures like Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene vocal in their opposition. Still, Trump voters remain much more willing than Harris voters and Americans broadly to say the U.S. should continue its involvement in Iran, even if it increases costs. A 42% plurality of Trump voters chose this option, compared to just 11% of Harris voters and 22% of all respondents. This highlights a significant level of trust they maintain in the president. But Thursday brought more disappointing news. Inflation has climbed to its highest level since Trump returned to office, and the economy grew at a slower pace in the first quarter of the year than previously estimated. Nearly half of Americans still blame inflation for their affordability challenges, even as about a quarter say conflicts overseas are the main reason. Strong majorities of respondents across the board report that prices for everyday items like gas, food, and medicine have increased significantly since Trump took office, and this includes most people who voted for him. Republican strategists believe a resolution to the war could dramatically improve Americans' perceptions of the economy. However, the longer this conflict drags on, the harder it will become for the party to reverse voters' negative views. Economic experts are already warning that gas prices will likely remain elevated for several more months. As one GOP strategist put it, if you can get the gas prices back to pre-conflict levels, and the people in those 16 to 18 House districts that are going to decide this race are feeling good in 3 or 4 states, then you're in a much better shape than a lot of people think. So, what do you think about this? Are voters right to blame the Iran war for their economic woes, or is the Trump administration's messaging just not landing? Drop your opinion in the comments below. I read every single one. This is a developing story, and the economic narrative will undoubtedly be a central theme heading into the midterms. We'll be here to break down every update.